Hello, hello, hello. How are y'all doing? Y'all doing okay? Want to come on for a minute, say hi, see how y'all were. Gotta get some chapstick first. Hold on. It's a little windy today. My lips are a little chapped. Um, Wanted to visit. We did a fire chat earlier about Sebastian Rogers, and I wanted to come on and touch base on a few other things real quick, like I did last night, where I kind of talked about a little bit of all of them, right? Maddie Soto, Jenn Soto. I hope y'all went and found that new thing on that crime talk or whatever about the immunity deal, so y'all can understand it a little more about Jenn. Uh, you know, I was really doing some deep diving on the Maddie Soto case. Trigger warning always, guys. And allegedly, these are my opinions. Remember that. I'm just a big alleged bubble. Don't take it as facts. Just my opinions, my thoughts, my theories of what I think could have happened in this case. Just my free speech and all alleged. Okay. Don't take me as fact. Take me as fiction. No. And trigger warnings always. Y'all's comments, y'all's alone, not to reflect the channel. We do our research together because we're a big heart, little family. So now that we got that part out of the way, uh, let's talk a little bit about justice for Maddie Soto. I think justice will be if both go down, right? To me, that's justice. Because going back and looking at a bunch of this old stuff and listening to some of these communications between, watching the old interviews, right? Where Jen's kind of just sitting there with no like emotional, no crying, no. She's pulling a Katie Prophet to me. And, knowing now that the dogs hit on Jen's car, right? Jen's car. And then her car was seen in that area, or went to that area like at 3 or 4 in the morning. Why didn't y'all tell me this before? No, I didn't know her vehicle was at that location. I mean, I knew that the dogs had hit on her car, but I didn't know that her car was in the location of where Maddie was found. I did not know that. And so now that I do know that, it makes it a little bit of a difference because you notice how she uses the word we too, right? Kind of like we just talked about in Christopher Prophet video, how he says we, right? We would have heard him go out the window. Somebody would have seen him go out the front door on camera. It would have been a shadow, right? We know that now. But she used we, and then changed it later on about, well, my partner, right? She said my partner took her to school. But, trying to understand now, putting the Woody Allen thing in there, and all these things that Jenn, and listening to the interviews, listening to the old interviews, like when she was at home in the apartment before they kicked him out, and he was talking with his Kleenex that never got wet. It was just dry Kleenex the whole time. He just kept dabbing his eyes like he really was crying. But supposedly a guy that knew him said that he had just smoking really a lot because he was high, trigger warning, times 100 million, but that's what his buddy said about him. And then I listened to a little bit of that about his buddy talking in part 1 and part 2. And I did listen to that on Vinny. Shout out to Vinny. And knowing now that her car went to that location, and when they ask him, he doesn't recall. I mean, golly, it's not making sense, right? I mean, it is, but it isn't. Like, I think they're both, but I've always thought they're both involved. Y'all know that. I've said that since day one. They're both involved, and they're both going to go to jail. That's what I think. I think they both need the DP. I think they both need the needle. Sorry, I think they do. Because you're not going to tell me that she didn't know something. Especially listening to the ex-girlfriend. Well, they weren't boyfriend or girlfriend, but she dated him for 4 months. And they were intimate like 3 times. The woman, what was her name? I don't think they even said her name on Vinny, but because they had met at work, and then he had told her he had broke up with Jim, but then he had told her all those stories about how Maddie he wouldn't sleep if he wasn't there, and he had to cuddle with Maddie, and she tried to tell him, hey, that's not cool. She liked to hike and do outdoor things. She said they went one time to Moss Park or something. But that he was really weird and played dumb and all these things. Like, that's It's what she pretty much made out about him. And, her talking to the investigator, right? And her telling the investigator, she was kind of embarrassed to talk to two men investigators about, what had went on between them, but she told them, and then how he told her to lay face down and play like she was not alive and all this weird stuff. And, that's not what I want to get into. What I want to get into is the things she said about him, like staring at her from afar. And he was trying to groom this woman. That's what he was doing. And I think they wanted to bring somebody else in. I think Jenn wanted a new mate, right? Like a new person to come in. And I think he was going to try to groom her into that person. Because I think Jenn swings both ways. I'm sorry. She's weird like that. With those hoot owl glasses on, right? I mean, just to talk about her Botox. Jenn had to cancel her Botox appointment that day that Maddie went missing. Why'd you cancel that? You had to spend that money on something else, the cleaners, to cover it up? What'd you have to spend the money on? I mean, I think it's because they were going to have to go to a hotel. She didn't want to do her Botox and waste that money. I think that first night they probably realized that the cops might have already told them they were probably going to have to leave the next day. Who knows? But, she should have realized right then and there when they went to that apartment, something's not good, right? I think they knew. They just tried to write it out. But that's why he immediately sprung into action trying to go to his parents, get on the Wi-Fi, delete all his stuff. Factory resetting the phone. He told her he did it. She said, oh, no big deal. Go ahead and whatever. Like, that's weird. She knew. She knew. And that's what really breaks my heart is that this mother allowed this to happen. So Jenn is just as guilty as him. Sorry. And I pray they take this woman down. I really do. And I don't mean to be that way, but I'm telling you, she knows. And she's involved. I think she might even have been the one that snapped, to be honest. She looks like she could snap, right? It reminds me of that, what's the Jack Nicholson in the movie, The Shining or whatever, that Red Rum movie. Oh, man. That's what she reminds me of, the way she stares like that. Like she has a really dark side to her. And that's what one of the guys said. She was kind of kinky and kind of weird like that. So I think he was trying to find different women at work to bring home for Jenn. And that's sad to think about. But that's what he was doing. She allowed him to groom Maddie. And in exchange, he needed to bring somebody to the house. And I think that's what he was focused on. That's sad to say, but I think that's what it was. I really do. I think there's more to this picture than what people are looking at. And I said from the get-go, when I signed that petition months and months and months ago to arrest Jenn Soto for neglect, she's going to go down for something. They just can't do it yet, but they're going to, because they might need her. That's why they're not going to take her down yet. But anyway, I just wanted to touch base a little bit on Maddie Soto. And, she's in our prayers every day. We need to keep her in our prayers. We need to keep fighting, because justice will be justice when they both are in jail, to me. So hopefully they get what they need to lock her up. I think they already have it, but I think that's why they took her to the nut house to get checked out, because they plan on taking her down. And we'll see. We'll see if I'm right. I'm telling you, that immunity was temporary. It was not full-blown immunity like people think. And Vinny and all them have already said she did not have immunity. So, and they know, they're prosecutors, and they know the laws. So we have to trust in them. But anyway, guys, y'all be good, be safe. We'll talk later. We got to do 4 videos tonight. I've done 1. This will be 2. I got it. With Sebastian, I went a little over. It was like 40 minutes. But, this one, I'm going to try to keep them at 10 minutes. So y'all have a wonderful night. Remember, allegedly, it's just my opinions. Don't take it as fact. Do your own research, guys. And we do our research together, because we do have big hearts. And we're a little family. And so, trigger warnings always, justice for Maddie Soto, justice for all that need justice. We need to fight for all of them that need justice. We need to dig on all of them that need justice. So y'all have a good night, guys. We love y'all. We'll see you on the next one. All right? Bye-bye.